We are getting closer and closer, my friends. Right now, as I am recording this audio, the New York Rangers are playing off against the New York Islanders. The Rangers are losing 2-1 at the start of the second. However, we are not here to talk about the game itself. We are here to dive into the latest on New York trade talk. Because unfortunately, for the New York Rangers today, Artemi Panarin's not playing. We got some Twitter updates from Chris Johnston, Friedman, and Saravalli. Artemi Panarin will not be in the Rangers lineup tonight, as well as for the entire schedule leading up into the Olympic break. For roster management purposes, he will not play any games for New York before the Olympics because they want to protect him for a trade. And furthermore to this point, it was posted about by Chris Johnston about 20 minutes ago, with the Rangers committed to holding Artemi Panarin out of their lineup until the February 4th Olympic roster freeze. Sources say the pending UFA is seeking a contract extension as a part of signing off on any trade. So, there you go, Artemi Panarin, the trade talks are going, baby. This guy is probably on the move. We have been waiting for this for a while. The fact that he is going to be held out of the Rangers lineup from now until the start of the Olympic break. Of course, we know that Artemi Panarin is Russian, and Russia does not participate in the Winter Olympics this year, so it's not like Panarin, Malkin, or any of these other guys are actually going to have stuff to do during the Olympic roster freeze. So for New York, it seems like they probably would prefer to get this done sooner rather than later, which opens the door for any of these other teams to step in there and get not just the trade done, but also the extension. If Panarin and his camp are finalizing this idea that they want to be extended with the trade, then all of a sudden that reduces the amount of teams that would be able to get this done. I mean, I look at the Detroit Red Wings, once more, as a team that probably does have the money to get an Artemi Panarin contract extension worked out and finalized. Take a look at the cap space that they've got. They've got themselves $13 million. In fact, all of these teams with projected cap space would potentially be suitable Artemi Panarin trade destinations, and some of them we have seen pop up as trade options more than others. We've made videos talking about Anaheim, Carolina, of course Detroit, and then some other teams that aren't really on the projected cap space list. Minnesota comes to mind as well. I don't know if they would be able to get this done because they're going to have to extend Quinn Hughes at the same time, but hey, if Quinn Hughes ends up leaving Minnesota to go to New Jersey, just kidding, that's not going to happen because it doesn't seem like Jersey is a desirable destination for some of these players anymore. But for Artemi Panarin, seeing what could happen with these teams, it does pique my interest for the Red Wings and the Hurricanes and the Ducks and all these other teams that we have been talking about. I just question the timeline as well. Like, the Rangers are going to have a few more games until the Olympic roster freeze. All these teams are. February 4th is when the thing is going down, and we are just a few days away from that. It is literally a week away. So there is just a few more days before we could probably see the Artemi Panarin trade go down. I know during the holiday roster freeze back in December, we ended up seeing some last-second moves. Philippe Deneau got traded, and then so did... who else got traded? It was Mason Marchment, I'm pretty sure. Those guys got moved right at the end of the night before the trades were not allowed anymore. So for Artemi Panarin, it doesn't really seem all too productive, in my opinion, to have this guy on your roster past the Olympic break, unless you wanted to take a little bit of a gambit and say, all right, well, what are the odds that some of these NHL teams get injuries during the Olympics? And what are the odds that these teams might be a little bit more desperate to make a trade after the Olympic break concludes because they have a lack of firepower? What are the odds that we can take advantage of that? That's a gambit in and of itself. I don't think really many teams would be taking a desperation swing on Artemi Panarin, especially if a contract extension is a requirement for a trade to get done. But I do kind of question, if there's a possibility that the New York Rangers up their return. Let's say, for the sake of argument, this is, knock on wood, not going to happen, but let's say, for the sake of argument, the Red Wings, they've got Dylan Larkin going over to the Olympics. What if Dylan Larkin gets hurt? We all pray to goodness gracious that he doesn't, but let's say he does get hurt. Does that amp up Steve Yzerman's desire to get a trade for Artemi Panarin done? Does that act as fuel to push it even further? I don't know. I mean, it's a winger versus a center. Obviously, it's not the same position that they've got, but I do think that thought process is somewhat valuable to acknowledge. Or the Rangers can just make this easy on everybody and just trade Artemi Panarin now. Trade him before the roster freeze. Trade him before everybody has to start speculating and guessing around. I guess maybe a better example would have been Carolina, because they have a few wingers, I think, that are going. Like Nick Ehlers, for example. He's on Team Denmark, is he not? Yeah, of course Nick Ehlers is on Team Denmark. What am I talking about? But anyways, if you are a fan of the Ducks, the Hurricanes, the Red Wings, the Wild, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Artemi Panarin trade sweepstakes? And if you are a Rangers fan, what are your thoughts on your team holding out on Panarin's overall play because you want to keep the guys safe, because you want to be able to maximize whatever return you got? You don't want to accidentally hurt the guy. Do you have any specific trade packages in mind? Based off of the teams that could be available, let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what kind of assets you want. What names from Detroit or Anaheim would intrigue you the most? I'm just bringing these two teams up because they're the teams that we've been talking about the most, I would say. Carolina, of course, as well. I don't really subscribe to Minnesota anymore, especially thinking about how Panarin wants an extension. Just with Quinn Hughes in the mix too, that's going to be super difficult to navigate, what with Kaprizov, Hughes, and then Panarin, especially considering that Artemi is going to want to get a pretty high dollar amount too. I mean, it'd be nice for Minnesota to get a Russian connection going there, though. Kaprizov, Tarasenko, Trenin, Panarin. Sounds pretty good. It rolls off the tongue really nicely. And Danila Yurov. But with all that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Artemi Panarin update? I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.